"You can't pass, ma'am." They had no idea she was the incoming commander. The gate guard didn't even look up at first. "No clearance. You can't pass, ma'am." The woman stopped walking, but she didn't argue. She didn't raise her voice. She simply stood there, calm, composed, as every officer nearby unknowingly failed the most important test of their careers. The morning at the base began like any other. Tight schedules, sharp salutes, boots striking pavement in perfect rhythm. Soldiers moved with purpose, officers reviewed files, and no one expected anything unusual. No announcements, no ceremonies, just another routine day in uniform. A black, unmarked vehicle rolled to a stop near the main gate. From it stepped a woman in a simple service uniform. No medals on display, no entourage, no visible rank to draw attention. To most eyes, she looked like a visiting officer, maybe administrative, maybe lost. As she approached the gate, the young guard followed protocol. Clipboard in hand, eyes scanning paperwork, he shook his head slightly. "Sorry, ma'am, your name's not on today's access list." She nodded politely. No frustration, no explanation, just quiet patience. Behind her, officers passed by without a second glance. A few smirked, others whispered. Assumptions formed quickly, because in their minds, power always looked a certain way, and this woman didn't match it. What none of them knew was this: by the end of the day, every person standing at that gate would be standing at attention, answering directly to her. She wasn't lost, she wasn't early, and she definitely wasn't supposed to be stopped. She was the incoming commander, and this moment was already revealing everything she needed to know. The woman remained at the gate, hands resting calmly at her sides, eyes moving slowly across the base. She watched everything: the way soldiers carried themselves, how officers spoke to enlisted men, who followed protocol, and who bent it when they thought no one important was watching. The guard shifted uncomfortably. He had done his job by the book, yet something about her presence unsettled him. She wasn't nervous. She wasn't impatient. Most people argued when denied entry. She didn't. Minutes passed. A senior officer approached, irritated by the delay. "What's the problem here?" he asked sharply. "She doesn't have clearance, sir," the guard replied. The officer barely glanced at her before waving a dismissive hand. "Then she waits or she leaves." The woman met his eyes, not with defiance, but with quiet assessment. She memorized his tone, his posture, his lack of courtesy. "Yes, sir," she replied calmly. That response confused him. He expected resistance. Instead, he received respect, and it made him uncomfortable. Nearby, soldiers whispered. A few laughed under their breath. Someone muttered, "Wrong place, wrong time." No one realized they were being observed, not just as individuals, but as a unit. Inside headquarters, final preparations were underway. A command transition briefing sat neatly on a polished table. The base was minutes away from welcoming its new commander. At the gate, the woman glanced at her watch. Right on time. A convoy approached. Black vehicles, military plates, flags mounted neatly on the hoods. Conversations stopped, smiles faded. The same officer who had dismissed her straightened his uniform instinctively. The lead vehicle came to a halt, the door opened, and suddenly the energy at the gate shifted. The woman stepped forward calmly as a full-bird colonel exited the vehicle and snapped to attention. "Ma'am," he said firmly, saluting, "welcome to the command." The air went dead silent. Eyes widened, jaws tightened, blood drained from faces. The guard froze. The officer who dismissed her felt his stomach drop. The woman returned the salute, not with anger, not with triumph, but with controlled authority. "Carry on," she said. And in that moment, everyone realized the truth. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was an evaluation, and they had already been graded. The gate snapped to life. Soldiers stood straighter. Movements became sharper, faster, too fast. The same officer who had dismissed her moments earlier now struggled to regain control of his expression, issuing rushed commands to mask the tension crawling up his spine. The new commander walked past him without a word. No lectures, no accusations, no satisfaction on her face. That silence was heavier than any reprimand. As she moved through the base, officers fell in step behind her instinctively, not because they were ordered to, but because authority, when real, doesn't need to announce itself. She observed everything: the state of the barracks, the way junior soldiers were addressed, the discipline that existed only when someone important was watching. Inside the headquarters briefing room, the command staff assembled quickly. Chairs scraped, files were opened, throats were cleared. She took her seat at the head of the table. "Relax," she said calmly. "If this unit performs half as well as it looks on paper, we'll do just fine." Relief washed over the room, too quickly. Her eyes lifted. But paper doesn't show respect, and respect doesn't appear when rank walks into the room. It exists, or it doesn't. No one spoke. She didn't name anyone. She didn't need to. The officer from the gate felt every word land directly on him. He replayed the moment again and again. The dismissal, the assumption, the tone. And for the first time, he understood the mistake. Not procedural, cultural. Leadership had been watching before it had been revealed. The commander stood. "This base will be judged by how it treats the unseen, the unannounced, and the underestimated," she said. "That starts now." Outside, word spread fast. Soldiers whispered, not in mockery this time, but in respect. The story of the gate traveled through the ranks like electricity. The woman they stopped, the commander they failed to recognize, the lesson they would never forget. And this was only her first hour in command. By sunset, the base felt different. Not louder, not stricter, sharper. The new commander stood alone on the balcony overlooking the training grounds, watching soldiers move with renewed focus. No speeches echoed across the base, no public discipline was handed out. Yet everyone felt it, the quiet shift that comes when leadership is no longer theoretical. Inside the command offices, changes had already begun. Not punitive ones, but precise ones. Evaluations were updated, notes were made. Conversations happened behind closed doors. The officer from the gate wasn't removed, but he was reassigned, placed where he would learn something far more valuable than authority: humility. Down at the gate, the young guard stood taller than he had that morning. He replayed the moment again and again, not with fear, but with clarity. He had followed procedure, he had remained respectful, and because of that, he remained exactly where he belonged. The commander remembered him. Leadership noticed discipline when no one thought it mattered. Later that evening, she addressed the unit, not from a stage, but from ground level. "You don't salute power," she said calmly. "You salute responsibility. You don't respect rank, you respect conduct. And you never judge importance by appearance." Every soldier listened, because they had lived the lesson. She didn't mention the gate. She didn't mention herself. She didn't have to. By the time lights dimmed across the base, one truth had been etched into every rank, every role, every mindset. Authority announces itself loudly. Leadership reveals itself quietly. And the soldiers who once said, "You can't pass, ma'am," now understood exactly who had been standing in front of them all along.